especially a first-time Sundance filmmaker, entrusts us with their film. And tonight you get to experience Twinless. It's James Sweeney's second feature. His first feature, Straight Up, premiered at Outfest back in 2019. It was released by Strand in 2020. It earned James a Film Independent Spirit Award for Best First Screenplay. Yes. And, you know, I think what makes Twinless so special is that it's James Sweeney's ability to so delicately strike a balance between comedy and grief, love and loss, acceptance and bromance. James is a true talent. We're so excited to have him here, and we're so excited to bring him out along with his twin bro, I guess you want to call him. You'll see what that means in a minute. Please join me in welcoming James Sweeney and Dylan O'Brien.
Hello. We are James and Dylan. We are not twins in real life. So I want to just set that record straight before I continue to get asked about it. This is not a documentary about my twin, who I've hid from the world for years. We're completely unrelated. I first met James 5 years ago, so this has been a long labor of love for this partnership. It's a very exciting moment for us and for him. I believe you first wrote the draft of this 8 years ago?
2015.
Yep. Okay, all right.
I was trying not to correct.
We got the mathematician over here. Back to what I was talking about. Seriously, he's one of the most talented people I've ever had the pleasure of working with. This is one of my favorite things I've ever had the pleasure of getting to be a part of, and this is a really, really special night for us. So thank you all for being here, and I'm just going to pass it over now to my writer, my director, my performer alongside her, James.
It's funny, my speech was going to be about low expectations. When I first found out, well, I'm happy to be here on opening night, Sundance, in the Eccles Theater. When I first heard we were in the Eccles Theater, I Googled images. I'm like, oh my god, it's so big! Then it took me a month to realize that was the Eccles Theater in Salt Lake City. And that this one's a little bit smaller, it's like half the size. And I should have known because I knew it was 1,200 seats, but even though multi-hyphenate spatial reasoning is not one of my great strengths. All that is to say, I think movies are best experience going in blind and to low expectations, so I'm not going to say anything else other than that. My cast, my crew is here. We've worked on this movie for a really long time. We're just really excited to experience it with you all here, so thank you all so much for coming.
Take a breath. Take a breath. Let's bring up your collaborators. Susan Park, Lauren Graham, Aisling Fantiosi, and Dylan O'Brien. Congratulations, again. What a great screening.
You guys are great.
How do you feel, James?
Yeah, I feel good, thank you.
Couple questions. Let's dig in. Congratulations to the whole team and to the whole team. So, I don't know, James. One thing I really love about your film is its ability to be funny in one moment and the next. A really touching story about loss and the odd routes you can take to get from a place of self-acceptance. When writing the script and directing this film, even acting in it, how did you navigate that line and modulate? Does that come?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, basically, you write a film 3 times, once in the script stage, again on set, and then again in the edit. I think that's very true for this film. I mean, a little blind faith. Sometimes it's hard when you're trying to create something where you don't have a ton of great references for it, or you're pulling from references that are completely antithetical to each other. But I just try to surround myself with people who I felt also had who shared the vision, and I felt had a lot of dramatic and comedic versatility, and just a lot of conversations, and then just fine tune it. Yeah, I feel like I'm rambling now.
I'm going to get to references in a minute, but before I do that, I want to bring this terrific cast into this conversation. Dylan, congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks very much. Appreciate it.
So James, talk about, and then I'm going to ask you, Dylan also, talk about finding Dylan, and then Dylan, conversely, finding James, how you guys came together.
Well, Dylan and I met in 2020, so we've been on this road together for quite some time. I've been a fan of his work. I saw all the Maze Runners in theaters. It was actually this YouTube series that our casting director cast called The City, if anyone's seen it. You can buy that episode.
Oh yeah, big hit.
I think I've always been impressed with his range, and I felt like this would be a very different role for him. But honestly, it was really just meeting him and seeing him take ownership for every emotional shift and beat. And I felt like he saw my voice, and he felt so confident in it that I just trusted that. And then, I mean, as I said, many years ago, so we had time to, I guess, sprout a relationship from there.
Yeah. Dylan.
Yeah, well, I first read the script in 2020, and it was, to this day, especially right now, I'm just can't believe that it ended up in my inbox, and I'm so glad that it did. It was not particularly highlighted for me either, which I think is, I opened this script and I just started reading it and I couldn't stop, and I was like, who wrote this? And saw that it was James, who was also at the time planned to direct, and so I was like, oh, let's see if he has a movie that I can watch, and he did, a full-length feature, and I watched it and just felt like straight up for anybody who is a fan. Yeah, and I was just kind of shouting from my rooftop, like, who's this guy? Because the movie, if you watch straight up, it's there's every element of a meticulous filmmaker, and then between that and the script, I was like, all right, the only way I'm not doing this movie is if this guy's an asshole. So so we met, and that wasn't the case. Felt like we had a really, really good conversation, and at that point, that was just the beginning of then the next sort of 4 or 5 years of more conversations while we tried to get this made. And that, I think, we even just said it today, we're like, maybe that was good. That time went by, we just became friends, and we got to know each other and to understand each other, and I think that goes a long way, obviously, and that was the gist.
Thank you. James, you have such a great on-screen team. Some of them are here with us, some of them aren't. So tell us a little bit about rounding out the team, finding each of these terrific performers who are on stage with you, and some of the others as well.
I could talk specifically about each of them. I'll start with Susan Park, actually. When I was thinking of this role, I think I had like maybe 4 names in mind, and my casting director also like thought of 4 names, and you were on both of our idea lists, so it just kind of felt. I don't think I told you this actually. I did. Okay, great. So that was sort of kismet that it worked out. Lauren Graham, I'm such a huge fan of. I was actually hesitant to cast her because we referenced Gilmore Girls a few times in my first film. I didn't want her to think I was a psycho, maybe we'd be breaking the 4th wall. But I got over that. And it was such an honor and a privilege to watch her work.
I just want to say that in our meeting, James said, I'm surprised that you're willing to play someone so unsympathetic. and I said, yeah.
And then Aisling Franciosi was the biggest surprise to me. This was such a difficult role to cast because we needed somebody who had both an emotional maturity and depth, but also a guilelessness that I think sometimes is hard to find in actresses because this industry will weigh you down. But Aisling is such a bright light and incredibly intelligent, and when I met with her, I felt like she was in the she was in Italy, and she just like cooked dinner and was like skiing with her family. I'm like, oh, she's so Marcy. She can do everything. I hadn't seen any of her films in entirety prior because we rushed right into production right after the strikes. So it was really just her chemistry with the villain that made it so undeniable.
I wanted to get back quickly, James, to this question of kind of references. I was thinking about, and I love, you said some of them were maybe more obvious, maybe some less obvious, or something like that a second ago. You were talking about some of your references.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was thinking about references, visual styles, things that might have been in your mind, both in writing it and also in planning the visual look for the film.
Yeah. I mean, I think in an earlier time I kind of compared it. Oh, it's like Ingrid Goes West meets The Cake Maker, if anyone's seen The Cake Maker. Yeah, I mean, we sort of pulled from all over. I think it's a bit rom-com, it's a bit De Palma, it's a bit, 2000s bromance comedy, and also, you know, a grief drama. I think, especially in the edit room, we tried to weigh those equally. I mean, that it's quite different. It changed. My first film was 110 pages and the runtime was 95 minutes. This one was a 100-page script and the assembly came in 150 minutes. So I had kind of an opposite conundrum here, but here we are today.
Last question. I want to give a chance for all of these great performers a chance to jump into the conversation. Tell us a little bit about the way that you all, and with your fellow performers, some of the ways you worked together, some of the ways you collaborated with James. I'd love to hear about a little bit of your experience making the movie together.
Me first? My only scenes were with James, and I feel incredibly lucky that he gave me this role, and she is like a smaller role in the film, but he still gave her nuance and gave her things that like made her stick out, and I think that is the brilliance in James.
I think you can tell in the movie he's just so thoughtful and intelligent and subtle, and there's so much kindness in his work that it allows for the quirks of his character and of the story and of the darkness, and I just love that. I was so fascinated when I read it, and it was unlike anything I'd ever read in it, and it still is.
I was incredibly nervous coming onto this project because it's so different to anything I've ever played. And I mean, I had to smile for one, so that was already a challenge. But these two really put me at ease. It was so much fun working with them. And I have to agree, I love working with writer-directors, the clarity of vision, your precision, like you were just so supportive, and yeah, it was some of the best 4 weeks of work I've had.
And my real last question. Let's go behind the camera. You worked with some terrific producers, including David Permit, who's been making and producing films for a long time. So, as we wrap up the conversation, maybe share a little bit of the backstory of putting the team behind the camera together, the production side, some of the key choices you made as collaborators behind the scenes.
Yeah, I first met David Permit in 2019 after my first film, played at Outfest, and I sat there behind a poster of Face Off, and I'm telling him a story about twins, and I see the marketing! He's been the most persistent, optimistic producer and friend that I've worked with. Even when I was coming, the movie's never going to get made, he never lost hope. And my DP, Greg Cotton, we met freshman year of film school. We've been shooting together ever since. Our incredible Portland crew, I had the most wonderful time in Portland. Priscilla Elliott, our production designer. Kyle, I believe, is here, our first AD. Aaron Orr, our costume designer. And then my editing, my post team, Nicola Boyanov. He also went to Chapman. We actually didn't really connect until later in life, but we were in the same year as well. So it kind of just felt, I don't like to use the word family because I feel like that can have like a incestual relationship in the workplace, but it felt just so collaborative, and I'm so thankful to everyone who championed this film, and I'm sorry, I'm having a hard time.
James, we were so Sundance that you shared this movie with us and accepted our invitation to screen it at the festival and to be with us on day one, kicking off the 2025 Sundance Film Festival. Congratulations to you and to your whole team. Thank you all so much. Twinless.
Hey, this is Eric from IONCINEMA.com. If you want to support us, subscribe below. For more reviews, interviews, film festival coverage from Sundance, Cannes, Toronto, you want to check out these guys on this side.